Us is written and directed by Jordan Peele. It stars Lupita Nyong'o, Tim Heidecker, Elisabeth Moss, and Winston Duke. The film begins in 1986, where a young girl is with her family at a fair along the beach in Santa Cruz. Her parents don't seem to get along very well. They seem to be arguing quite a bit. The scene is actually entirely shot in a very Spielbergian style, very low, very much from the child's perspective. Her father doesn't seem to be the most careful or responsible adult and is very consumed by a game of whack-a-mole, and she basically wanders off onto the beach and into the Hall of Mirrors. This Hall of Mirrors is a spooky, creepy place for a young child. As she finds herself in front of a mirror, she is back to back with her reflection. She turns around, but her reflection does not turn around, and of course, from then on, we know that something strange is about to happen as we hard cut to the credits. The credits then open on this very tight shot on a rabbit's eye, and then zoom out into what appears to be a classroom with a wall full of caged-up rabbits. And of course, if Un Chien Andalou by Louise Buñuel has taught us anything, is that any tight shot on an eye is evocative of something very surrealist that's about to happen. We then cut to the same young girl, but who is now an adult, played by Lupita Nyong'o. She's married to Winston Duke, a pre-teenage boy and a teenage daughter. They are in the car and heading to what appears to be their vacation home in Southern California. And of course, the proximity to what was a very traumatizing encounter for her as a young child brings back some old memories, and she's kind of starting to freak out. And very soon, this comes back to become far more than just a trauma. She is attacked by what we thought could have been her reflection, but what is in actuality the exact same family as Lupita Nyong'o, is a family of doppelgangers that invade their home and are seemingly out for some sort of revenge. Now, of course, the use of doppelganger is very significant. Doppelganger is originally a German word which stands for something akin to double goer or double walker, which is already insanely creepy in the way it sounds, traditionally linked within folklore to imminent danger or a sign that the main character is going to die. It's a theme that's been exploited in a great number of fictional works, whether it be by Dostoevsky or Edgar Allan Poe. And I suppose two main questions arise, which are, what do these people want, and where do they come from? As far as what they want, Lupita Nyong'o's doppelganger, nicknamed Red, seems fueled by rage and revenge. As far as what the others want, that seems less evident from the outset. As they emerge from their underground dwellings, they start tethering themselves from one coast of the United States to the other in this one giant chain link fence comprised of human beings, which is a callback to the beginning of the film, to an action that was led in 1986 to call about the end of world hunger. As far as who they are, well, in that case, the film states it very clearly. They tell us they are Americans. And of course, as many people have already pointed out, us visually obviously evokes US. They are a voiceless mass that emerge from the ground and appear to represent the underclass in American society. They dwell in cold, dark, inhospitable conditions underneath proper and prosperous society that is completely oblivious to their existence. They storm out of their habitats in their red jumpsuits, which could equally evoke something akin to orange jumpsuits that prisoners wear. Through some of the imagery, also made me think, as somebody from France, as something very close to like a gilet jaune equivalent, except they were wearing red vests instead of yellow vests. Maybe, of course, because of the color red, something akin to a socialist uprising. Peele's film unfolds almost like a dark fairy tale where the white rabbit is devoured by the population living inside the looking glass, and where the Mad Hatters come bursting out of that looking glass into our universe, wreaking havoc. Much like Get Out, Peele's previous film, it plays both as a street horror film and a social allegory. And what Peele is particularly good at is taking a metaphor that is on its face obvious and then twisting it in an interesting way, which, to be fair, is something that he's been doing since even the Key and Peele skits. If you take Get Out, for example, Get Out was so fascinating, not just because there was a black main character within a horror film, which, if you think about it, had already been done even in the 60s in George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. But within a horror film that acts as social commentary about racism in America, what we would be likely to expect within a Hollywood film that sort of treats that subject would be that the main character be confronted by hicks and uneducated rednecks. Yet the bad guys in Get Out are wealthy, educated, liberal, and their racism shines through in their fetishism of blackness and the black body, where the black body is conceived as superior, and yet the black soul, the black mind, as something to get rid of and transfer whiteness into. In Us, we follow an African-American family who are living a pretty affluent upper middle class to upper class lifestyle, and who in majority have white friends, with all that that can entail, and with all that we bring to that as spectators with our knowledge of previous media. So we could imagine the difficulties of a black family integrating into proper white society. And yet the film pulls that trope out from under us. This family is very much presented as a member of the affluent bourgeoisie, and are as oblivious to the sufferings of the underbellies of society as much as any of the white people surrounding them. Us is, in every way, a far more ambitious film than Get Out, whether it be in the directing, the writing, the symbolism. It's also far messier. At certain times, certain symbols or certain themes can kind of contradict themselves. There are, however, some beautiful thematic ideas, in my opinion, such as the recurring use of the Psalm Jeremiah 11:11, which not only warns us about false prophets and about God unleashing wrath onto this earth and humanity screaming all they want, he's not going to hear our cries. And all of this perfectly encapsulates what's going on, obviously, but it's also a nice throwback to the idea of mirrors and doppelgangers, because 11 and 11 are obviously mirror numbers of each other. The step up from Get Out in terms of ambition and craft is extremely noticeable. In terms of writing, however, it does suffer from some expository moments. I felt that exposition was handled better in Get Out, although I think that because it's a simpler film, of course it was handled better. But there are two exposition-heavy scenes in particular that I feel don't really add all that much to the overall world or to the overall enjoyment of the film, and as a matter of fact, I think they could have been reshifted in a way to give less information and keep a little bit more of the mystery for the spectator to try and dig through the imagery and symbolism. But very clearly, Peele is emerging as one of the best new genre directors working within a Hollywood studio system. And something that I really love is, much like other great horror filmmakers, Peele really has a love for horror, not so much in the shock value that it can produce, but rather in how it can place a finger on the pulse of society's ills and fears. So as always, thanks very much for watching the video. If you liked the review, be sure to hit the like button. Please subscribe if you're new. And until next time, see ya!